everybody, my dear followers, friends and viewers who every now and then watch my YouTube channel, My Paranormal and Mystery TV. I know for sure, let me guess, I know quite for sure that if you have just clicked this video is because you just can't believe in what you have just read. Yeah! Your favorite movie ever, I guess. Or one of your favorite movies ever. The NeverEnding Story. The NeverEnding Story was released in 1984 and has become a cult for every generation. And it still influences, I hope, people, very young people nowadays. Because the NeverEnding Story is one of the best movies of the history of cinema ever. This is my opinion. I want to confess you that even if I'm, as you know, I am a fan of horror movies, gothic, dark movies, horror, thriller movies, and so on. Still, at my age, my favorite movie is always The NeverEnding Story by Wolfang Petersen. Yeah. And I guess that many of you who are watching at me right now, it's your favorite movie too. And if it's not your favorite movie, at least is one of your favorite movies. This movie what happened? Okay, I do it later. Always notifications in my personal computer. So, I guess that you have watched The NeverEnding Story at least 100 times in your life. No, I'm wrong. 200 times, 300 times. No. At least 8,000 times. 8,000, 2,000. Did I guess it? Yeah. In my case, I must confess you that I watched The NeverEnding Story. I lost the numbers of the times I watched The NeverEnding Story. I say at least 8,000 times. And happening? Gmark is arriving in my studio. No, Gmark has been killed by Atreyu. I must confess that I am a super fanatic of the movie The NeverEnding Story. So I confess that when I was a little girl, I watched NeverEnding Story once a week. And I guess that you fans too watched the NeverEnding Story many times. 100 is few times. And I'm sure that even if you watched this movie at least 100, 200 times, every time this movie is, every time a TV transmits the NeverEnding Story, or if you have a DVD of the NeverEnding Story, as I have too, every now and then you feel that missing, that kind of nostalgia, the real need to watch it again and again. Because this movie is not able to get us tired to watch it again and again. So, if we are watching still this movie for years and years, it's because this movie is different from all the other movies in the history of cinema, because it still throws on us that kind of magic, that message: don't give up on our dreams. And we can't help watching that movie. Oh my God! I keep on telling you about the many minutes, the many cut scenes of the NeverEnding Story that in few minutes I'm going to show you. We watched so many times the NeverEnding Story, my favorite movie, and also your favorite movie or one of your favorite movies, always hoping to see even one more scene. And when we used to read in newspapers and in many other media, I always read the NeverEnding Story lasts 1 hour and 30. The classic 90 minutes. 1 hour and 30. Not even 1 hour and 31 minutes. I had this sensation, but also hope, as you fans can understand me, that there were 1 minute more, 30 seconds more. Instead, there were 10 minutes, 10 cut minutes. Oh my God! When I discovered this news, I was completely in ecstasy and I was jumping. I want to watch them because There are people who have been waiting for this surprise for 10 years, 20 years, because this movie is for every age and for every generation. So there are people who have been waiting to watch these minutes they didn't know to exist, and I can tell you that I look younger, but I'm not very young, so I've been waiting for this moment for all my life. For the first time I watched the movie at the end of the 80s. And the first time I watched the NeverEnding Story was in 1989. I was a little baby. And I won. I'm not kidding. In few minutes I'm going to show you all the videos of the cut scenes of the NeverEnding Story. When I watched them for the first time, I cried. I smiled and cried at the same time, because I discovered this news. There's nothing paranormal in this video, but the way I discovered the existence of these cut 10 minutes, it happened in a kind of paranormal way. But I don't want to make you tired and waste your time. It happened, and the minutes are, you must know that there are they cut 10 minutes from the original version in Germany. And I immediately can tell you that in these 10 minutes, 3 minutes are of the soundtrack by Limal, because the soundtrack you hear in the NeverEnding Story international version, the movie begins with the soundtrack The NeverEnding Story by Limal, and also in the end there is the soundtrack. The soundtrack in Europe and United States, in the international market cinema, lasts about 5 minutes and a half. Instead, the extended song was about 8.5 minutes. So these 3 minutes more included in the extended and complete version of the NeverEnding Story are of the soundtrack. But the other 7 minutes are scenes were played by the actors, containing also 2 actors you never knew their existence, because in the international version these 2 actors are not in the movie, and it's incredible. It's incredible, because when I watched these 7 minutes, these aren't boring minutes. That there are movies that are very long, and sometimes some minutes are cut. So you can tell me, I can tell you that when I see the whole version of some movies, I say, okay, I always prefer movies uncut, but there are sometimes boring dialogues and also unuseful. Instead, these 7 minutes were very interesting. I just can't believe that the international production, above all in America but also in Europe, decided to cut them. How is it possible? And where did I find the 7 minutes very rare and cut? I explain you everything. I don't want to make it longer. Excuse me. Okay. I don't want to make it longer, so I explain you quickly. So, I tell you something before showing the 7 minutes. You fans of the NeverEnding Story and people who think that this is one of their favorite movies ever, now finally arrived the moment to watch these 7 minutes. But I must tell you something quickly. I think that the fascination of this movie is also the message that I want to remind you, especially for people who, I don't say the fans, but I mean people instead watched the NeverEnding Story once, twice, and it seems that nowadays many people have forgotten this important meaning, because the NeverEnding Story is not the classic movie for teenagers or little babies or families, like for example the Goonies, for example movies for families. No, there is a deeper meaning into the movie that you completely understand in the final dialogue between Atreyu and Gmork. So today you have your influencers. Be careful. I can say that I never had influencers, because I'm not I'm an indoctrinable excuse me person, but my only influencer has been the movie The NeverEnding Story. It has been also a teaching of life, of course, in a positive way. This movie teaches us that everybody, we all can make our wishes come true. Because Fantasia every single part of Fantasia, as Gmork states in the American version. Every creature, every single detail of Fantasia is a fruit of the mind of mankind. So, Fantasia can't have boundaries. And so I started to follow this teachment when I was very little. This is the reason why I made almost all my dreams has become true, because I never thought that dreams were only dreams, and useful dreams are for pathetic people unable to face the real life. And I can tell you that people always told me, even in my family, you will never reach this point. Dream, dream on, dream on, dream on. And they always laughed at my face. Everybody. You will never be able to do this. You will never be able to do that other thing. What are you thinking about? You are overrating yourself. Not. I never overrated myself. I never stopped believing in my dreams. And I have a proof that one of my biggest dreams was the existence of other minutes to watch in the NeverEnding Story, because it's my favorite movie ever. And now this dream has just become true. So I can tell you that the 94% of my dreams have become true. Not because I'm lucky, because I crossed many sad and difficult moments of my life, and it was very hard to see the light at the bottom of the tunnel. But even in those horrible and sad moments, I always reminded Atreyu, facing all the most terrible tests, even the loss of his favorite, of his best friend, the horse Artax, that in the end, of course, resurrects, because, we are all fans of the NeverEnding Story, and we know that Bastian saves the reign of Fantasia, and Atreyu and Artax return to live. So, I think that everything is hard, but nothing is impossible. It's possible to make almost all our dreams, all our wishes become true if we don't forget them. Of course, we must. I give you this humble suggestion of mine. Of course, at some point, you must change a bit your behavior and above all the attitude to life. Because if every morning you wake up and you think this is another shitty day, another bad day is waiting for me, you attract immediately negativity. Instead, start your days with more positivity. For example, when you wake up and you have to go to work, to study, to school, or everywhere else, think positive. For example, think, this is a new day, this is another day, and maybe this day can be the day that one of my biggest dreams can become true. Maybe this is the day called the time of my life. Start thinking so, and I think that more positive events will happen in your life. In fact, I want to remind you the meaning of the movie The NeverEnding Story. When there is the dialogue between Atreyu and Gmork. Gmork says, people lost their hopes and they forgot their dreams, and Fantasia has no boundaries. So we must think positive and always keep on chasing our dreams, and above all have hopes, because as Gmork, servant of the evil power states, tells that when Atreyu asks him, what is the nothing? The nothing, answers Gmork, is the emptiness, the despair. People gave up on hopes and forget their dreams. They are hopeless and they despair and full of despair. And I did my best to help this. So Atreyu asks, why? Gmork states, I'm the servant of the power hiding behind the nothing. And people who lose any hopes more easy to control. Remember this, because it's a very, very it's an important message nowadays. You understand? People who don't believe in everything anymore. People who lost all their hopes and they forgot their dreams, because aging, many people become cynic and start not to believe in anything anymore. They say, I'm well grown up, I'm cynic, I don't believe in this anymore. And so they forget their dreams and become hopeless. They think they have nothing to lose. And the evilish powers get advantage of these situations more than in 1984, when the NeverEnding Story was released at the cinema. But in this, today is it's the half of October 2023. So I can tell you that we are more in this situation than when the masterpiece, the NeverEnding Story, was released, because there is a total absence of values. People got crazy, but not in a positive way like me. People don't believe in anything anymore. So, as Marx states, people who lose hopes are easy to control, and it's the easiest way to reach and to conquer the power. Think about nowadays. People lost their hopes, forgot their dreams, so they are more easy to control, and let me add, to manipulate, and to make them become slaves. Because people who don't believe in anything anymore are easy to manipulate, especially in a bad direction. Because nowadays it seems that people must be by the side of Gmark instead of by the side of the good that is in the NeverEnding Story Atreyu, who faces all the more difficult situations, to say the reign of Fantasia and the childlike empress. So remember, don't exchange good for bad and bad for good, because we are in a very terrible situation nowadays, October 2023. So remember this. Now I can tell you that how did I find these very rare 7 minutes? Let me tell you quickly curiosities you need to know to understand better. I can tell you that in Germany, when they shoot the movie The NeverEnding Story, there were already these 7 minutes played many minutes by Noah Hathaway, who played the role of Atreyu, but also by other actors, like for example Barrett Oliver, who played the part of Bastian. And in the German version, they did this movie that lasted about 1 hour and 40 minutes. But the international production stated that these minutes were boring and useful. What the hell? I'm watching these movies over and over in the last few days, and these were necessary minutes that made the masterpiece of the NeverEnding Story, because the NeverEnding Story is not only a cult for all the generations and marked the history of cinema as one of the most beautiful, magnificent movies ever. But the NeverEnding Story was a great masterpiece, more with these 10 minutes and 7 minutes of playing more. So why cut in 7 important minutes? I don't understand. I can say, what the fuck? So, quick curiosities, but important. And then let's go to watch them. The NeverEnding Story was a German movie by Wolfang Petersen, who unfortunately died last year. The film was released on July the 20th in 1944 in the United States, and then in Europe. For example, in Italy was released at the cinema the 6th of December 1984. Even if the movie is German, the movie is played in the language American and also some parts in English. Then I explain you the reason why, because there are some actors who was asked to shoot some parts in American and then in English because of the different accents. So there are these differences also between the American version and the English version. And almost all the actors of the NeverEnding Story were Americans, except Tammy Stronach, who played the role of the childlike empress. She is Iranian, naturalized American. And there were also a couple of actors who were English. The budget of the NeverEnding Story was $25 million of dollars. And this made the NeverEnding Story the most expensive movie in the history of German production at that time. It's a cult, as I told you, even nowadays, and it will be forever, because the NeverEnding Story is never-ending, so it can't have an end. The name of the name that Bastian, I want to remind you, the name that Bastian chooses for the new name of the childlike empress is the name of her dead mother, Moonchild. About the musics, wonderful musics were made by the leader of the jazz German band Passport, who was Klaus Doldin-Fair. In collaboration with the Italian Giorgio Moroder, who wrote the NeverEnding Story soundtrack. Yeah, the NeverEnding Story, sung by Limal, in collaboration with Klaus, but he wrote the NeverEnding Story with Kate Forsey, and then it became a successful hit by Limal. And now it's the time to watch the 7 minutes. I don't accept when I make you see these scenes. I think that it's unacceptable to cut these scenes. Who made the masterpiece of the NeverEnding Story a bigger masterpiece. However, it's still my favorite movie ever. And now I make you immediately, I bring you. Are you ready? So now I'm going to show you the 7 minutes cut and some differences. I'm at my personal computer, and now I make you see the scenes, the cut scenes. Some scenes I really don't understand. So let's start.
International version and see on how different they both are.
That's my batwing Wrath. There's Eye of Newt in there, tree mold, old lizard brains, scales from a rancid sea serpent, flavoured with sandworms. Organically grown, of course.
Interestingly, the German Blu-ray has a different colour and contrast compared to the international Blu-ray.
See the difference of the, even there are the difference of colors. I'm very surprised. They changed also the colors in German in a way, and and now in a German some colors, and in the international version in another way. I'm shocked. Before going on, I forgot to tell you that the NeverEnding Story has been restored in 2010, and the lucky German people can watch the complete version of the NeverEnding Story. Instead, there are few videos around the world in English with at least 5 minutes more, 4 minutes. So if you find outside Germany in English these restored DVDs with 7 minutes more or at least 4 minutes more, you are very lucky, because these are very rare videos. I go on talking about the beginning of the movie, because in the international version it starts with Limal, the NeverEnding Story. Instead, in the German version, add another music for the intro of the NeverEnding Story movie. I make you hear. I immediately make you hear the differences. Here we are.
Suspension and anticipation.
Okay, this is the international version. This is the German version with no music.
In the international version, the film opens up with a
And then the soundtrack, the opening of the NeverEnding Story in the international.
the vocal performance of the song being done by British pop singer Limal. But as for the original German version, the opening credits roll on a black background with less than trendy music. In fact, there's quite a few tracks in the German release that can be quite a mood piece.
In the German version, no
There are
music.
many slim cuts that were made from the German version, not editing out anything significant, but just cutting down a couple of seconds from a handful of a couple of shots from the movie. Some B-roll shots were also added to make it slightly clearer as to what was going on, such as Sebastian taking the book. As well, from later in the film, a shot of the Oren glimmering in the water was additionally added in as an establishing shot for when we see Falkor diving into the water.
In this scene, Falkor drowning into the water to find the Aurin, and even this scene we never.
Ivory Tower, the shots of the inhabitants of Fantasia.
Do you remember when do you remember when Atreyu is on Falkor? Wow! And then a storm arrives and Atreyu falls into the void. They didn't make us that. In the German version, there was also Falkor falling into the void. And now I go on, and I just can accept to have cut this scene. International production can say that this scene is boring, because when Bastian hides himself in that dusty room in the school, suddenly the school caretaker breaks through, and Bastian fears to be discovered, so he hides Fortunately, the school caretaker doesn't notice Bastian, and it's a scene full of suspense. I don't accept explanations that it was boring. No, it was more exciting, and I'm going to show you immediately all the other cutscenes, including Bastian. I go when Bastian
was additionally added in as an establishing shot for when we see Falco diving into the water. Oh, so
see, of course, and now I make you see the other scene.
Only seen in the German release. In the Ivory Tower, the shots of the inhabitants of Fantasia was only seen.
Ecco, here we are. Okay.
Southern American accent.
Rock bottom? What you told us is also happening where I live in the West.
The only full true admitted scene from the German version is where the school caretaker walks into Sebastian's hideout, leading to the young lad briefly having to hide away. The scene is only just over a minute long, and nothing significant happens during the moment. It was perhaps maybe filmed to give a little bit more weight, and a bit of suspense for the real world scenes like will Sebastian be caught, but it's not overarching or ever comes back for any kind of payoff, so it's fairly easy to see why it was removed. And these shots of the Rockbiter were only ever exclusively shown in the international version. In the original German version with Mola, the shots were composed forward-facing with her head being in the mid-ground.
German always saw Morla,
They seem to like
the
in wide shots of Mola from
millennial turtle in face. Instead, in international, I agree with it, we
An
see
interesting thing to point out that Mola was designed to have two front legs, but they're never visible at any point in the film.
Clever boy.
Tell me, please!
In the German version, the final shot that's set within the Swamps of Sadness, we would have had a full-on reveal of Gmorg. However, when this came to the international version, the shot was removed to heighten the suspense for the reveal of Gmorg. As well, Gmorg had two separate voices in both the German version and international version.
And you, whoever you are, can have the honor of being my last victim. And you, whoever you are, can have the honor of being my last victim.
There were also several lines that were cut in the final confrontation between Atreyu and Gmorg.
Leave me alone.
Can I help you?
I have stalked him for so long. I am almost too weak to kill you. But I will find the strength.
Let me give you new strength, Mork!
However, there is still one known deleted scene from the NeverEnding Story that has never been included in any version of the movie. The only form that fans have been able to see this sequence in is in the fragments of old photographs and reading within the shooting script.
And now this shocked me completely, because it wasn't to cut at all. There is a new character.
You don't by any chance have an extra pair of small shoes? I need a new pair again today. No, sorry I don't. My name's Parminter. I am the last giant. My name's Atreyu. Did you say that you're a giant?
I am the last giant. My entire tribe was all wiped out.
You probably haven't noticed, but I used to be much bigger. But since the nothing, I've been shrinking.
I shrink a little all the time now.
I'm very tired. These clothes
Are quite heavy.
I'm very sorry. Let me help you.
No, stay there. Don't touch me. The nothing is on me.
Is there anything I can do to help?
The only thing is to hurry and stop the nothing.
But where should I start?
Go to the swamps of sadness, to Shell Mountain. Ask Mola, the Ancient One, what to do. She's the oldest and wisest creature in Fantasia. She should know.
You were a giant?
I still am, just small now. I walked through this wood the day before the nothing came.
A parmeter. I'll do my best to help you.
Wait! Are you sure you don't have any other shoes? You see, I have to change clothes every day.
I'm sorry. I have to go now, parmeter.
Oh, and keep your spirits up while you're in the swamps of sadness. Those who give in to life's sadness sinks into the swamp.
I will. Goodbye, parmeter. Sometime later, Gamora arrives to Atreyu's last camping spot. The shrunken Parmenter hides away, watching the creature of darkness making his way through. So, why exactly was the scene removed out?
So I'm really shocked. There wasn't a reason to cut that giant shrinkled and become so little warns Atreyu about the swamps of sadness and about the millennium turtle Morla to find the South Oracle. So I really don't understand how they did this, and so I'm really shocked. Really. What I can tell you is that anyway, look at this very beautiful photo of, and so I can tell you that I really don't understand these cuts. They are unacceptable. However, the most important thing is that I made my great wish come true to see the cut minutes of the NeverEnding Story, my favorite movie ever, and I hope to have make your wish come true too. A huge embrace to everybody. Don't stop dreaming.